This week, I want to talk about the keto diet, which is an extremely popular diet. I'm sure most of you have heard about it and probably even know the basics of the keto diet. Let me start by saying that most diets work. A diet is a strategy where you control your food intake, what you eat, when you eat it, and how much you eat. You need to choose a restriction that best suits your lifestyle and that you can sustain long term. People have been swearing by the keto diet, saying they've lost tens of pounds, that they have better mental clarity, better mood, and just better overall health and quality of life. In this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about the keto diet. The ketogenic diet is a low-carb, high-fat, and moderate protein content diet, where the goal is to make your body use ketone bodies as the fuel instead of glucose by minimizing your insulin release. Hi, I'm Rishi, and thanks for stopping by my channel. I'm a practicing nutritionist with a background in human physiology and nutritional sciences. I take a holistic, scientific approach to health and wellness, using food and lifestyle changes to optimize one's nutrition while promoting longevity and healthy aging. So if you want to hack your health span and be the best version of yourself, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss anything. A quick tangent on the body's fuel sources. We have two fuel sources available to us. Glucose, which we're all familiar with, comes from carbohydrate-containing foods that we eat and from stored glycogen in our muscles and liver. Eating carbs spikes insulin. The other fuel source is ketones, and this comes from fat-containing foods that we eat and stored fats in our body. Eating fats have no effect on insulin levels, and know that to release ketones from fats, our insulin levels need to be down. Your brain, for example, wants to preferentially use glucose as fuel. So as long as you have enough glucose in your body, your brain's going to use that as its fuel. In the absence of surplus glucose, which is also the absence of insulin, the brain uses ketones for fuel. The goal of the keto diet is to induce ketosis, which is where your body and your brain are switching over from glucose as fuel to ketone bodies as the primary fuel source. The switching in fuel sources is facilitated by the mitochondria, or the powerhouses of the cell that are responsible for energy production. This ability to be able to efficiently switch between fuel sources is also called metabolic flexibility. And this flexibility is vital to our overall health, regardless of whether we're on a keto diet or not. When you get on a keto diet, you start to eat fats instead of carbs as fuel. What happens is that your body gets glucose depleted and your liver starts to produce ketone bodies instead. And that's going to be the new primary source of fuel for the body, putting you in a state of ketosis. For the first week, it can be quite rough for most people while your body is switching over to ketones as fuel, especially for your brain. Because remember, your brain wants to use glucose as fuel. So when the brain is switching over to ketone bodies, you might feel sluggish and low in energy. You might get a headache or brain fog. This is sometimes called the keto flu. What this is metabolic inflexibility. It's when your body is not used to using both glucose and ketones for fuel and is primarily glucose and carb dependent. It stems from eating too many carbs and too frequently in a day. The good thing is that the body can be trained to become more metabolically flexible. And following a keto diet isn't the only option, but more on this in a bit. As a result, it can be quite the challenge to get started. A classic keto diet consists of 70 to 80% fats, 15 to 20% protein, and 5 to 10% of carbs. In an average 2,000 calorie diet, you should eat around 50 grams of carbs or less. The really strict ones keep carbs at about 5% of your daily calories. And that is quite a challenge because if you know your carbs, you know that 2 slices of bread can be around 50 grams. Generally, it can be quite hard to keep carbs this low. Another side tangent is that your body is actually producing a little glucose every day, even without you eating carbs. This is done through a process known as GLUCONEOGENESIS in the liver, where glucose is produced from non-carbohydrate sources. This is needed because your nervous system and red blood cells require glucose to run on. Just know that the body can produce some glucose to take care of those functions without you having to ingest carbs from any food sources. So why choose keto as a diet protocol at all? There are definitely some health benefits from being on a keto diet. If you're someone who has a significant amount of body fat and needs to shed a fair amount of weight, then the keto diet is something that will help you lose a chunk of that weight both quickly and safely. And because the fuel source of ketones is fat cells, it becomes fairly easy to sustain, at least in the short term, for a few months. The weight loss from this has a positive effect on your motivation to want to continue on your journey. In my opinion, it's not very sustainable in the long term, but works like a charm for short-term goals to get you on a healthier lifestyle. Personally, my version of keto that allows me to become metabolically flexible is fasting. By staying fasted long enough in a day, you're basically putting your body in the same state of ketosis that you would if you were following a keto diet all day long. The only difference is when I do eat during my eating window, I tend to consume more than 50 grams of carbs in a day. And the amount of carbs I eat are cycled according to my daily energy needs of training and resting. But that's just me. Other benefits of ketosis is that it can lower your bad LDL cholesterol and also your blood pressure. And by getting into ketosis, you are also improving your body's mitochondrial health by allowing you to become more metabolically flexible and easily switching between fuel sources without the ill effects of being on keto. Being in a state of ketosis from a keto diet or by fasting can really help people who are diabetic or insulin resistant, as it greatly reduces both fasted blood sugar as well as insulin levels. It promotes cardiovascular health by reducing stored visceral organ fat, lowering cholesterol and blood pressure. It can also help reverse a fatty liver and aid in cancer prevention. Lastly, ketosis also promotes a reduction of overall systemic inflammation in your body. This kind of inflammation is the root cause of most chronic lifestyle disorders like type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular issues, and cancer. Further, ketosis has the benefits of mental focus, clarity, and acuity without the side effects of low blood sugar like brain fog and crashes after meals. So, what should you be avoiding on a keto diet? Basically, you should be avoiding most carbs, especially the simple, low-fiber processed carbs that have a major impact on insulin levels. Stay away from refined sugars, junk foods, flour, bread, pasta, and starches like rice and potatoes. Avoid things like desserts, chocolates, sodas, and chips. Fruits are avoided too. The bottom line is you want to avoid foods that are turning into glucose in your bloodstream and spiking insulin. So what can you eat in a keto diet then? Well, you should be eating eggs, fish, meats, nuts, which are filled with good fats and protein. Fruits like avocado, and the carbs you do consume should come from non-starchy, green, leafy vegetables. Dairy like unprocessed fatty cheese and yogurt are also fine. Just know it's all about keeping the carbs down to about 5 to 10% of your daily calorie intake. If you're having a tough time getting started with your diet, hit that like button so you do. And finally, what's my opinion on the diet? Does it work? Definitely. Is it safe? Absolutely. Not only can you lose weight on keto, but it also promotes health and wellness. But is it sustainable in the long term? Not in my opinion, but it works for many others. I personally feel it's a bit too restrictive and very easy to mess up. A good middle ground is periods of fasting and incorporating more healthier carbs into your diet like whole grains, fruits, starchy vegetables, beans, and lentils. To me, that is more sustainable. But the most important thing is that I always recommend figuring out what works best for you. If your main goal is to lose fat or body weight, you should find a strategy or a diet that you can stick to in the long term. A successful diet or strategy is something that you're happy with, something that is sustainable for you, and that you can turn into a lifestyle. So, is the keto diet better than other diets? Keto isn't necessarily better than any other diet unless you can stick to it and you're happy with it. I will say though that the keto diet is an excellent choice if you're diabetic or have cardiovascular issues. To wrap this up, I just want to say that the keto diet is a good one to get you started on a healthier path. It is fairly restrictive, so if you ask me, like any other diet, you need to figure out what works for you, what makes you feel better, and doesn't deprive you too much. You should choose a restriction that best suits you and that you can stick to. And if this ticks all your boxes, then go for it. That's it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new and got value from it. If you did, then please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Drop me a comment if you have any feedback for me.